hear people make this argument of saying, well, why did they wait so long to file these suits? What made you wait 20, 30, 40, 50 years to file these suits? America is very different today than it was even 10 years ago, and especially 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. Today, if somebody makes a claim of sexual assault, we hear them out. We listen to their claims. We give them a hearing. There are laws in place to be able to protect them. We are able to collect witnesses. We have forensic evidence that didn't exist in the past. We have video evidence that didn't exist in the past, which can actually give them a chance for their day in court. In 1988, though, think about what happened in 1988 if you claimed that a powerful man had sexually assaulted you. The first thing they would have asked is, well, what were you doing in that man's hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning? The picture you were wearing showed you had some high heels on and a little skirt. It looked like you were asking for it, if you ask me. This is the way we used to talk to women in this country when they claim sexual assault or rape. Even our grandmamas and great grandmamas will tell you, well, it looked like you got exactly what you were looking for out there. That is legitimately what people heard when they claimed that they were raped 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's a completely different world then than it is now. The word sexual assault, truthfully, didn't even really come around till about the turn of the century, till about 2000, 2005. And then there was this idea of date rape and forcible rape. There was a point in time where unless you held somebody down, knocked them upside the head and took it, that was the only thing that was considered rape in this country. Even there was a period of time where, as Bill Cosby, in his case, where if you gave somebody a quaalude, or they got too drunk and passed out somewhere, or they fell and hit their head and were unconscious, they just chalked that up to the game. That is just how we considered those things to operate during that period of time. We have evolved past that. And part of the reason for putting statutes in place like the survivor statute is to give these individuals an opportunity for recourse for things that may have not been recoverable at that time. Even when I was in college 20 years ago, if a girl got drunk at a party and people ran a train on her while she was drunk, people shunned and castigated her, even though she was not conscious to be able to make the decision around it. She was the person who was shunned. She was the person who was considered to be morally corrupt and morally bankrupt, not the people who committed the act against them. That's just the reality that many women have lived with for decades. The shame that is involved with that. People committed suicide behind this. They've had to transfer schools, move back home here. Back in the old days, there was this whole thing where we're gonna send her back down south to live with Granny. When somebody brought shame into the family, or someone got pregnant out of wedlock. Even when you think about it in the context of family violence, where young girls, if they were molested or raped by an older man, what would they say? What you doing running around here acting grown, being hot in the pants, trying to get at that woman's husband, etc. These are the conversations that went on in Black families for decades. And now that society has changed and we put legal recourses in place, people can bring these suits now that potentially would not have been recoverable or cognizable 20 or 30 years ago. And in particular, that would have brought shame unto them and repercussions unto them at that time. Imagine if he had tried to sue Puff Daddy in the year 2000, when he was kind of at the height of his power, when Bad Boy was dominating the airwaves, etc. He could have destroyed your entire life, let alone entire career. So there, of course, is a large amount of shame that goes along with that and fear that goes along with that. If you try to sue Bill Cosby while the Cosby Show was on the air in 1984 and 1986, they would have laughed you out of court. No matter what you said. Talking about, oh, I went to Bill Cosby's house, I had a couple drinks, I passed out, and we had sex. So you had a good time to me. What's the problem? But things are very, very different now, and it's different in a positive manner. Even if you think back to about a decade or so ago, when we had this larger conversation on consent in college campuses, and there were men's groups arguing, well, what do you mean she was too drunk to consent to sex? I was drunk too. Well, now we have a generation of young men that understand you have to have not just vocal, but vocal and enthusiastic consent, or you may be guilty of sexual assault. And we're in a better place because of that. Now, there is a contrapositive that is going to come out of this, however. We are going to start seeing, and this is a legal prediction, we're going to start seeing men attempting to recover for connected issues that affect them. So I'll give you an example of that. So when Cardi B made the statements before she was famous, that when she was an exotic dancer and a prostitute, that she would lure in customers, clients, tricks as they would be, get them drunk or drug them, they would pass out, and then she would rob them for all their money, things like that. Those are things that she said during internet broadcast. Now, I think that in the next few years, you're going to start seeing men coming forward and filing lawsuits against women for doing things of that nature. We're going to start seeing men come forward and file lawsuits against women who have scammed them out of money. You're going to start seeing men come forward and file lawsuits against their quote unquote sugar babies that they helped to launch their career. Well, when she was down and out, I took her in, I paid for her studio time, I paid for her stylist, I bought her a new butt, got her a makeover, those sorts of things. And then as soon as she got on with her record label and took off, she left with all the money and never paid me back. I'm demanding damages as well as interest, as well as punitive damages for being a victim of a financial crime. There's a series of individuals she's done this to, and we're going to file a class action suit against her for what has taken place. Trust me, we're starting to see men taking these sorts of legal recourses. Just we're seeing more men trying to file for full custody, more men getting child support, more men asking for alimony when they get divorces. We're starting to start seeing this pendulum swing back the other direction. So we see this ebb and flow happening societally and happening legally, and we're just in the middle of it. We're not at the end of it. We're going to talk more about this after the break. Calling 447-226-1380, News and Talk 1380 WAOK.